Have you forgotten your own worth? A reflection inspired by Immanuel Kant. There is a quiet tragedy that affects millions of people. It happens every day, not in dramatic moments, not in great disasters, but in small decisions, in conversations, in relationships, in the way we allow ourselves to be treated. Many people spend their lives trying to be useful. Useful to their employer, useful to their friends, useful to their family, useful to strangers. And at first, this seems admirable. After all, helping others is often considered a virtue. But there is a danger hidden beneath this desire, a danger that the philosopher Immanuel Kant understood more than 200 years ago. The danger is forgetting your own worth. Many people do not notice when it begins. Perhaps someone only calls when they need a favor. Perhaps your kindness becomes an expectation rather than a gift. Perhaps your willingness to sacrifice becomes something others simply assume you will continue to do forever. Little by little, a person can begin to feel less like a human being and more like a tool. Useful, convenient, available, replaceable, and when this happens, something important is lost. Kant believed that every human being possesses a value that cannot be measured, not because of wealth, not because of status, not because of beauty, not because of talent, but because every human being possesses reason, dignity, and the ability to make moral choices. According to Kant, this gives every person an inherent worth, a worth that cannot be bought, a worth that cannot be earned, a worth that cannot be taken away. Yet many people live as though their value depends entirely on what they can provide. They believe they must constantly prove themselves. They believe they must earn acceptance. They believe they must always be available. And so they become exhausted. Not because they are weak, but because they are trying to purchase love with usefulness. They are trying to purchase respect with sacrifice. They are trying to purchase belonging with obedience. And these are purchases that never truly succeed. The more desperately you seek approval, the more approval seems to move further away. The more you abandon yourself for others, the less others seem to value your presence. This is one of life's strange paradoxes. People often respect those who respect themselves, and they often overlook those who constantly neglect themselves. Kant offered a powerful principle. Treat humanity, whether in yourself or in another person, always as an end and never merely as a means. At first, this idea sounds simple, but it is far more profound than it appears. To treat someone as a means is to see them only as useful. Useful for money, useful for attention, useful for comfort, useful for status, useful for convenience. Many relationships operate in exactly this way. People remain close only while benefits exist. When the benefits disappear, so does the relationship. Kant believed that this approach fails to recognize the true dignity of another human being. But there is another side to this principle. Most people focus on how others treat them. Few consider how they treat themselves. Are you treating yourself as an end, or are you treating yourself merely as a means? Do you constantly sacrifice your values to gain approval? Do you silence your opinions to avoid conflict? Do you betray your principles to keep people happy? If so, you may be reducing yourself to a tool. And no one suffers more from that decision than you. One of the most difficult lessons in life is understanding that your worth does not depend on universal approval. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will appreciate you. And that is perfectly acceptable. Kant never argued that we should seek popularity. He argued that we should seek moral integrity. Integrity means remaining faithful to what is right even when it is inconvenient, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is unpopular. This is not easy. Most people prefer comfort over principle. Most people prefer acceptance over truth. Most people prefer agreement over honesty. But character is revealed precisely in those moments when doing the right thing becomes difficult. Imagine a person who tells the truth even when lying would benefit them. Imagine a person who keeps their promises even when breaking them would be easier. Imagine a person who acts with dignity even when no one is watching. Such a person possesses something more valuable than success. They possess character. And character is one of the few things that cannot be given by others. It must be built, choice by choice, decision by decision, day by day. Kant believed that morality begins when we stop asking a simple question, "What will benefit me?" and start asking a deeper question, "What is the right thing to do?" This shift changes everything, because once your actions are guided by principles rather than convenience, you become harder to manipulate. You become harder to control. You become harder to buy, and perhaps, most importantly, you become free. Freedom is often misunderstood. Many people think freedom means doing whatever they want, and Kant disagreed. He believed true freedom comes from governing yourself according to principles you have chosen through reason. In other words, freedom is not the absence of discipline. Freedom requires discipline. Freedom requires responsibility. Freedom requires self-respect. Without these things, a person simply becomes a servant to impulse, a servant to fear, a servant to desire, a servant to the opinions of others. And that is not freedom. That is another form of dependence. So if you feel overlooked, if you feel used, if you feel as though your value has been forgotten, remember this. Your worth does not come from being useful. Your worth does not come from being admired. Your worth does not come from being needed. Your worth exists before any of those things. It exists because you are a human being, a thinking being, a moral being, a being capable of choosing what is right. That dignity belongs to you. No success can increase it. No failure can destroy it. No rejection can remove it, and no other person has the power to define it. Perhaps the greatest lesson Kant offers is this: never forget that you are not a tool. You are not a possession. You are not a means to someone else's goal. You are an end in yourself. And once you truly understand that, everything begins to change.